Hi everybody, it's Kathy from Huckleberry Herbs and Art, and I'm really excited that I'm going to open up for the first time the Pocket and Flipfold Inserts E-White from Heartfelt Creations. This is awesome. They are continuing to add to the collection of pre-formed pockets and inserts for mini albums or whatever you would like them to be, cards, etc. And I know I could just make these myself, but it is so cool to have these sitting on the shelf, and if you feel like it, you just dig in. If you want to go from scratch, sure, you can do that anytime with cardstock and rulers and score and measuring and cutting and all that. And you still have to do some measuring and cutting, decorate it, but the cool thing is, if you were really on the go, or if you just wanted to dig in and play with some color, these are all set. So I'm going to be opening up the E, and this is what we should find inside. Here's what's in it. And I know that there's two different items. I'm going to see if these kind of self-separate. So, 1, 2, 3, 4 of those with scores. You probably can't tell, but they're scored up there. And then there's one long one scored. And then there's 1, 2, 3, 4 of this side scored, 1 of that side scored. I'm not going to measure them all. And then, oh, I could see how this would feel daunting. Oh, these are big. These are really big. So if I look at the pack, this one seems to be this right here. And I would say, it would be my guess, that these are the waterfall for that. This one right here, because it makes 2 of them. So this one opens up like this. That these fit right there. 2 pieces I'm not sure of. They're going to go back in the packet right away. This, I'm going to leave these inside here. And I am going to start working with this. I have chosen my papers. I'm going to be going with the Celebrate the Season papers. So this is going to be an album for Christmas, for winter, for the holidays. And the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that I have reinforced the scoring. So there are double scores on these so that you have a little bit of a gusset in order to add some thickness. So I'm just going to start with the outside edges, and then I'm going to bring them in, reinforce, as I said, the score on the outer edge to create that gusset and make sure that it's very stable. Do it on this side. And I want to do it on the inside as well, on the, well, the bottom and top flaps, right? Okay, so there's 2 score lines there, and on the top, 2 score lines. Just pull that forward and get that other score line that they gave us. I've cut the edges of this little decorative bottom of the flap to fit more what I have decided to do with them, and I'll show you what I mean when I get there. 2 magnets and 2 washers here. I sell the washers at huckleberryherbs.com. I think I'll start with the magnet itself. Put the magnet on the flap here. So I'm just going to place that magnet right there in the center. And then I'm just going to take a piece of score tape and lay it right across to reinforce that a little bit more. And I have a piece of score tape already attached to this magnet. I'm going to just let them connect with each other. And then I'm going to make sure my album is shaped the way I want it to be shaped. Bring this down and press. Okay, so now my magnet and my washer are placed in their proper spots. Now that I have the magnet and the washer placed for the cover, I'm going to start to cover this front page. So I'm going to flip it this way. I have cut, pre-cut, measured cut, and inked all of my papers. And as I said, I'm using the Celebrate the Season paper. It is gorgeous. Not your traditional colors, although very traditional images. And I have decided to cover the entire piece of paper, so I'm not attempting to leave a border. So now I want to get the outside paper here, and from the Regal Borders and Pockets, I have used this outer edge die so that we can have this nice decorative edge here. And that's why I had to reshape the corners here, because when I placed this on here, I didn't want any of the white coming out of the edges. These pockets, these flip folds, are meant to be changed according to what your needs are. So oh, there's Huckleberry letting us know he's here. And put this one up here. So now I have the top cover and the first page essentially ready to go forward. Now in choosing the paper, once you open these flaps up, in choosing the paper, for me I was thinking, you know, what are you seeing when you lift the cover and you pull down the bottom? And so to me that is an entire vignette. So I want the papers to sort of, you know, work with each other. So I'm going to go down to the bottom here. And you might say, well, you didn't bring the paper all the way down to the bottom. But that's because I decided that this calls for a pocket. That when I lift this up, it would be a fine place to have a pocket for some pictures or some tags or something like that. So I'm going to be putting this on the edge only. Right, so now I have a pocket. As soon as you open the book up. Okay, I'm going to peel back the paper that's on the tape for the magnet. I'm going to place this paper right here. Now, I actually want this to come a little bit over the edge. I think I cut it just right. Just check the other side. Yeah, see how I have it double-edged right there? So, down goes that paper. And I may need to come in and cut a little bit more off of the edge or ink it up. Okay, so we have a double edge on that now. That's the top. Alright, so now you're seeing so far that vignette. And I decided to stay with the light blue. And now that that paper is placed down, you can see that the way I cut it, because I was cutting the papers to save paper, there's a little bit of an edge. So I'm just going to trim that off by hand because it's being covered anyway. Gate up at the front. Okay, so that's what I actually chose to do after considering it. Sometimes when you go to put things together, it's not until you actually start to maneuver everything that you realize, no, that's not going to work, change. So there you go. I have placed a gate here, which I may need to reinforce with something. I might put a piece of paper right here before I place this paper. But I like the fact that the gate goes over the edge. It's just that when you open and close all the time, it's going to get a little loose. And people might tend to grab from here. So, not sure about that, but alright, I think it looks pretty anyway. So there's a gate right here. You can still put some pictures on the top parts of these. And there is a magnet and a washer on the inside of these first flaps that meet up. And then we're on the inside, which you still have this top and bottom to deal with when you're looking at all of that. So keeping that in consideration, I chose to put this as the bottom paper. But you're not going to see all of this because the waterfall will be here. So I'm going to glue this down and get the two sides on, and then start to put the waterfall in. I'll be right back. Alright, I have placed papers on both sides of my waterfall pieces, and before I did that, of course, I used my bone folder to make sure that that score was pressed down well, because you're going to want to be able to flap these up and down. And I did take some of the strip paper that comes along with the paper, the borders that are in the pad, and I made some borders and inked and glued those on. I found it best for me, it was quick and easy, to just use the 6x6s. These fit perfectly inside, so all I had to do is cut a bunch of the 6x6s that went well with the theme of the moment, and be careful, of course, that when you flip it up, if you have words on it, that you're going to have your words or your images facing in the correct. And again, see, I tried to match up vignettes so that they look lovely together. Finish with that. So I'm going to glue these in with you. I'm going to bring back the album. And I'm calling it an album because you can use this, as I mentioned, or maybe not, depending on how the editing goes. You can use this as a brag little mini album all on its own that you leave out, and it's on the table. Maybe it has last year's Christmas pictures with it when everybody comes over, etc. So the way that I'm going to do this is from the top down. So we're going to put glue just on that little edge, and I will tell you that the way that they fit in, because there were 4 of these in the envelope, you would have had to cut tops and bottoms to get them to close, and they wouldn't have all been the same size. I decided to put, first of all, only 3 inside the album, and secondly, I cut 1/8 of an inch off of the top of all of the little tabs here, making sure I'm not on that score line. I want to make sure that it's even with both sides, or as centered and straight as possible, because that would be very noticeable when you open up the book. Okay, I hope that's good. And then I'm going to flip that over and press it down. Got the glue thingies all over the place. And then I'm going to place the next one right underneath that. Again, I'll lay it there for a second, and then look at the bottom and make sure that it's straight and it won't bump into any score lines and cause any issues. And then press it down. Okay, so we have 2 of them. And then I'm going to do the third one. And right underneath, leave a little bit of a space. Check all your angles and your sides. Make sure that you didn't go over here, and that is why I chose to do 3 instead of the 4. So I ended up with an extra one, because if I had gone one more, it would have had to have the bottom cut off of it to fit, because right there is the score line for folding up the bottom. Okay, so that wouldn't have worked. So I ended up with an extra one, which I can use on another project. Now, in the meantime, on the very bottom here, where we just were, let me run across that and make sure that that's sealed. I have this space right here, which I'm just going to fill. I wasn't sure exactly what size that would end up being, and so I didn't worry about it, because the papers are so beautiful. You can always find something to put in a little gap, and that sort of continues the stripes, but has them seemingly get larger as you come down from here. And I also have this little thing, which I'm going to stick in as a pocket, and I've cut, well, you can't really see it from there, but the light blue paper underneath, and then this purple paper on the top, and that gives the regal borders die a little more strength if you're going to put things in it. And I wasn't sure with this as well how much space, because you can't stick anything in here if this is flapping down. So I am going to make this fairly short. I'm going to go cut this and bring it down even lower so that you can actually fit a full-size regular tag in there. Alright, and that should do it. I think you can still fit a tag in here because it'll be from here to here, so there'll be a place to put a little something there. So I'm going to glue that down. And that brings more of the paper on the sides towards the center when you open the book. It also brings a little bit of the paper that you have at the top right here, and hopefully it looks well at the bottom. So now let me close this up and show you what we actually ended up with. And first I'll say that I have already gone back and put this paper on the back, and I may put some kind of an edging on this because it's not quite perfect and the shape kind of metamorphosed on me. So I may go back and just put a little trim right around the back. Here's a place where you could stamp or put the date or the the year, and if I sign it I might put a little tag or something down here. There's your front cover with your 2 layers of edging. When you open it up, you start to go into more of the light blues. You have this little pocket down here. Then you open up the gate. And you come in here where I might put some more pockets or something so that you can tuck tags with pictures on them. There's plenty of room in the gusset for it to be a bit bulky. And then you have your flips, which all seem to be functioning fairly well. And then another pocket right here to put a pretty tag. So, although difficult to show the whole thing, it all just closes up lovely. And what I think I will do is, now that you've seen me put it together, I will take my time embellishing and doing some fine tuning, and I'll do a separate project video. But at least you have walked with me in how to handle this particular pocket, and I'll probably come back and do one of the other ones too. So this is the white E, and join me on my little journey here if you'd like to follow along with the tutorials that, when I have a moment, I try to put together for you. Okay, I'll come back with a final project video, and I'll leave the links to each of the videos on either one. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this. Till next time, this is Kathy from Huckleberry Herbs and Art. God bless!